What's up, guys? Daniel Clayman here. I wanted to record a quick case study for you on a new construction 16-unit mixed-use building that I am in permitting now, and I'm raising money for now. Not really raising money; it's already raised. And when I say raising money, I mean just bank debt. So we'll dive into that, but I'm going to show you the anatomy of this deal, and I'm going to show you all of my numbers. I want you to understand how these deals are structured and then how easily I'm able to get funding for these deals. This is going to be a $3.5 million asset when it's finished. And these are the architectural drawings. It's going to be a really sweet building. It's 15 apartments. There's 4 2 bedrooms, the rest are ones, and there's a small 1,000 square foot commercial space on the corner here. Here, I'll show you the site plan. So this is going to be a site plan. This is a funky lot that I carved off from another larger property, and I bought the land from them. And you can see this is the building. It's basically a rectangular building with a little L at the end. This is where the commercial space is going to be. And then it's got 15 parking spaces, one for each apartment. And the driveway that we're going to build to access the parking spaces and then back out to the alley. So I'm going to show you exactly how I've structured this deal in Rehab Valuator, how I've vetted the numbers in this deal to make sure it's actually going to be profitable and it's going to cash flow, and how easily I'm able to get 95% construction funding for this deal that will automatically convert to a permanent loan. If you want to do these types of deals, this is where the rubber meets the road. Nobody's really teaching this stuff. Nobody's showing you the nuts and bolts of these deals. I'm going to show you every number. Okay? So let's go. So I've already built out the deal inside my software, and if you have the software, use it. If you don't, it's up to you whether to get it. But I literally built this software for myself, and so many other developers are now using it to run feasibility studies on their projects. You can do this for single family. You can do this. We're using this now for a 100+ unit apartment complex. So anyway, I'm going to show you exactly how this deal is structured. So the first thing you need to do is switch to construction up here. This is what I purchased the land for. The land is already bought. If I can, I typically buy the land with cash. When I buy the land with cash, it takes the pressure off of me to, first of all, make monthly interest payments on it. It also takes the pressure off me in the sense that, once I buy the land, it can take me a year and a half to break ground because of going through a plan of development review process, going through permitting. Where I build, it can take quite some time. So if I own the land with cash and I'm not stressing about making that monthly interest payment and wasting that money, it takes some pressure off me in terms of timing. It also allows me to bring that land as equity to my lender as my down payment and finance between usually 95 and 100% of my construction on deals like this. So this is how it's structured in the software, and I'm going to show you every number. So follow along. This is what I bought the land for. I had roughly $5,000 in closing costs. And then for now, until I build out a detailed budget, all I did was I went into detailed input, and I went in here and I said, how many units? There's 16 units, and I simply hit my drop down here, selected number of units, and entered a rate of what it's going to cost me per unit to build. This is a pretty good ballpark. The other way I usually estimate construction costs is based on dollar per square foot. So you can do it one of two ways, and eventually over the next couple of weeks, what I'm going to do as I start getting bids, I'm going to build a detailed budget. I'm going to go to one of my templates here. I'm going to load a new multifamily template here, and I'm going to build out a detailed itemized budget and start entering my bids in here, right? So there's a column here where I can start putting my bids in, boom, boom, and I'm going to build this whole thing out, and it's going to look much more detailed. But for now, this is a good ballpark for me in order to gauge the feasibility of this deal and go out to get funding. So I'm going to click update. So this is how this deal is going to work. When we do multifamily construction, when we do any kind of deal analysis, if you're rehabbing a single family home, if you're building a 200 plus unit apartment building, where you want to start is at the end. So the very first thing I do when I go in here is I build out my operating income and expenses. When this building is built, what's it gonna what cash flow is it going to produce? What income is it going to generate? So I have two exit strategies here: flip and then rent/BRRRR. So in this case, I'm going to hold this deal. So I go into enter projected operating income and I build out my rent roll. So here I have 11 one-bedrooms, right? They're on average 644 square feet. This is my projected rent. Now I can enter my income based on an annual figure. There's two bedrooms that are going to be close to 1,300 square feet. This is my projected rent for them. Two bedrooms that are smaller. This is my projected rent for them. And then there's going to be commercial space here. And my lender typically wants me to see model a 5% vacancy rate. So I will enter that here and click update. And then I go and I build out my projected operating expenses, right? And again, I can enter my expenses here in $1 per unit per year, total monthly, total annual. But my main expenses are going to be insurance, landscaping. I'm going to put immediately some money into maintenance and capital expenditures, and then property taxes. And then we're going to have some common utilities like electricity, monitoring for the sprinkler, fire monitoring, right? We have to pay a fee to a monitoring company to monitor the sprinkler system. And I'm going to need to run fiber in order to have that monitoring system communicate with the monitoring company. All the other utilities are going to be paid for by tenants. So again, I have full flexibility in how I enter these expenses. I can add more items here. I can add more items here. I can delete items, but I can build out a full operating income and expenses statement and projections and pro forma here. And I'm going to click update. And a good sanity check is, this is roughly 33%. So if you take 7,000 divided by 21, it's a third. And 33% operating expenses for a building like this is pretty standard. That's roughly what we run at. And so this is a good sanity check for you to make. If you project your operating expenses and they only come out to about 20% of your income, you're not only are you underrepresenting your future expenses, but when the bank sees this, they're going to see that you're not experienced, and you're also going to massively overinflate the projected value of your property. Because here's what happens. Now that I know where my operating income is going to be and my operating expenses, the software calculates my net operating income per month. And then based on that, I can back into my after repair value, right? So the value of an apartment building when it's built is going to be based on the net operating income and the market cap rate. So I go down here and I usually use something in the low fives for cap rate to figure out my value. So $3.5 million, if I sell this building at a 5 cap, and in this market, right, if I sell this building, somebody will pay me a 5 cap for it based on the operating income that it's going to generate. So I back into my value of $3.5 million. Once I have my value, I know how much I can borrow against it. So there are two funding components here. Short-term financing, this is my construction financing. And then you have an option here to select, yes, I'm going to roll this, I'm going to refi into permanent financing. So under my financing, I'm saying I want my construction lender to fund 65% of my after repair value. Right? I already have term sheets in hand, right? Let me skip forward really quick. I'll show you the presentation that I generate and you'll see why this is so powerful. So I'm going to generate an executive summary, marketing sheet hold, and income and expenses. And I'm going to click show PDF. So 2 weeks ago, I sent this out to 3 banks that I do business with, and I have 3 term sheets in hand where they're competing to lend me money on this deal. This is a very simple 3-page presentation. This is an executive summary, right? Very simple. And one of the things that I like to do is I'm going to go here and I'm going to rename this financial projections, right? You can rename these reports. So let's look at it again. But this is what I sent. I sent a version of this to 3 banks and I have them competing to lend me money. So this is how the deal is structured. This building will be worth $3.5 million. I've already bought the land, it's owned free and clear. My projected construction costs are 2.4. I'm seeking a loan of $2,275,000, which equals 95% of my construction budget. So my total cash committed will be, including land, this much, right? Including all my interest payments, etc., etc. This is the net operating income that this property will generate. This is my projected timeline. And what I'm assuming here is that this loan will automatically, when you deal with local banks, oftentimes the type of construction loan you can get is one that automatically rolls over into what's called a permanent loan. So there's no need to refi if you don't want to. So this loan, after 16 months, will automatically roll over into the same amount loan that's going to be a permanent loan amortized over 25 years at a slightly higher interest rate. This is from a term sheet that I already got back from one of my lenders. So I'm going to borrow this much for construction, and then the same amount will be my permanent loan. This is what my property is going to cash flow. This is my initial cash on cash return and debt coverage on my loan, on my permanent loan. So when I send this to my lender and I say, hey, I want 95% of construction, it may sound aggressive, but when I show them these numbers, I'm showing them that the deal can support this debt on a permanent basis. All right? And then the third sheet I'm giving them is the projected operating income and expenses, right? I'm giving them a pro forma. Last time I sent this to my lender, he said, man, you literally did all the work for me. I'm sending them a pro forma to show them why my assumptions, where I'm getting my assumptions for net operating income and for the value of the property. So this is the 3-pager that I sent to banks. I'm literally negotiating $27 million worth of loans right now using 3 pages from the software. So in the software, once I know my value, I can back into how much I can borrow without crushing my debt coverage ratio, right? So my short-term assumptions are here. My permanent assumptions are at the same 65% of after repair value. This is my rate. This is my amortization. And so you can see when in the software it says it's refi, but I'm not actually doing a separate refi, right? This loan automatically rolls over to a permanent loan. So you can see my cash out at refi is 0, my profit at refi is 0 because no money changes hands. I have a loan for this much at the end of construction, and this becomes my permanent loan. But you can see this is my projected monthly cash flow. and a 9% cash on cash return year one, which is not incredible, but on new construction multifamily deals that are expensive to build, this is pretty damn good. I'm happy with it. And it's only going to grow from here because rents will continue to grow. This is in a great market. This is in a great area. This is going to be a high quality product. It's going to be mostly brick, really great layouts, beautiful finishes. And the other thing I like about this building is very little common space. All of my units are accessed through 3 simple staircases over here. So there's no hallways, there's no common areas. There's just 3 very simple, cheap to build staircase wells that are going to be used to access each of the units on the 2nd and 3rd floor and on the 1st floor as well. So this is the anatomy of a ground up multifamily deal. The same principles I'm showing you here can be applied to a duplex, a quad, 16 units, 300 units if you want. It's all here. And when I run my development business, I don't know how I would run my development business and know that I'm doing profitable deals and be able to raise money as easily as I'm raising without something like this. All right, so hopefully this has been helpful. Post your questions below. I'll try to answer them.